taking criticism, and I don't mind it. You know, you're doing too much, it's government overreach or it's council overreach, and revising and amending a few articles with the intention of improving the EDC, not with the intention of harming the employees or pushing people away. If you're listening to this right now and you want to do business with the city of Amarillo, come on. Man, you got 5 guys up here that are willing to go to bat for you and your city, so that when you get here, you know we're accountable, we're transparent, we're looking out for everybody in our community. And so we're not trying to do any harm. We're not pushing on any individual employee. We're saying that we have things that don't look right in these credit card reimbursements. Specifically, today, Neil, I met with you because I asked, I said, well, in March of 23, there's a $14,000 reimbursement to Mr. Kitty. And in the same month, there's a $14,000 reimbursement for the exact same invoice to Mr. Carter, right? Well, that looks like, man, we duplicated an invoice. So you called over there and you actually confirmed what?
Yes, so I confirmed that the total golden standard they have is $28,000 annually. I received invoices for 23-24 showing those annual dues, and then they showed the payments they received from the 2 members of EDC. So I'm comfortable that that $28,000 is real.
Okay, so you, go ahead, sir.
Just on that specific transaction, that's what I had a question about. What about the one in December of that year, the identical?
I think that's just timing. Yeah, so the year end, our year end. So if you look at the invoicing that's on there in the payment, it shows 22 and 23.
I guess I didn't have that invoice.
No, I just got it. I requested it from TEDC.
So today, what happened, Mr. Kraft, today, I had noticed yesterday, Mr. Path, hey, I've seen these 2 invoices. We want to verify that we didn't double copy something or overpay it, or maybe we did overpay it and there's been a payment coming back and we just don't have that documentation. So you reached out to the TEDC, confirmed it's a $28,000 payment, everything's on the up and up.
Yes.
But it sure looked wrong, didn't it?
Yeah, that's the impression it gives.
Yeah, and we're not really doing right by our employees, in my opinion, if we have this casual business and dealings where all of this information is public, and gentlemen like Mr. Fisher are digging through all of this stuff, and they don't stop here at the council chambers. Usually they go to the court of public opinion, and it looks like it looks. I want to do a better job of making sure we're looking out for our EDC employees as well as all of our contracts that we're trying to attract here. And I agree that there has been some harm, Mr. Brown, and I agree with you that this doesn't look good. But I also agree that we didn't put this on the agenda. This is from a $100,000 approval on an item to the range that was changed wrongfully to $750,000, and that the payment was made. And that's what spurred all this on. And Mr. Gerber, thank you for continuing to walk through this with us. I don't know if you're standing before us today saying you're done, or if you're standing here today saying, tell me what else you need me to verify, because I didn't get through 24. I only got through 22 and 23. So Mr. Gerber, what are you asking of us today?
I would like to get some additional guidance. If there's anything else you want us to look at, you can bring it forth. Just note that I've got a small team. At times a little pressed and stuff like this. So depending on how deep and how far you want to go, we'll be able to assist. Council can let us know and give us guidance as to where you want us to go.
Let's ask if we have any further questions, and then let's see if we have any direction. Councilman Sherry.
Yes, sir, please. Question I have, why would one individual use their credit card, their personal credit card, for 12 months and then 1 month use the P card without any trouble? Does that send any kind of signal to you?
I haven't audited that, but we'll have to discuss that with the employee and address it. Okay, what happened? That wasn't in the scope of what I was looking at.
Okay, another thing, there's a lot of invoices or however they, whatever we'll call them, for reimbursements they send over
Just
that, from what I can see, doesn't have documentation with them.
when you say it doesn't have documentation, can you give me an example?
I could, but we're not, I've got stuff, but I'm not ready to show it yet,
Okay.
okay?
Well,
I could sit with you privately.
yes, sir. I think that's the
and
best.
show you some things that raise some red flags to me anyway.
Okay.
And, but I was just wondering, there are payments given that we don't have signed documents by the chairman of the AEDC. We don't have anything, we have stuff that comes over, signed, need reimbursement, and we send them a check. Is that correct?
That all should be approved. There should be approvals to that.
But if there wasn't an approval, what would happen?
Well, we would have to bring that to their attention, say, hey, this wasn't approved
Does the city pursue that?
on a regular basis.
Yes.
I cannot answer that.
Okay.
I don't think we do
Okay,
because
so we don't actually verify
No.
the expenditures.
Yeah, we are relying on the management team at AEDC to review the supporting documents and approve when it comes to us.
Okay. I understand where you're coming from, and I understand why y'all do it and how come you do it. I just feel like, from a business standpoint, everything should be documented. Everything. Every invoice should have who you took to dinner, how many people. I mean, you just don't give me an invoice for $700 and 2 meals are delivered. I want to know who's there. I mean, I had to do that when I was in business. I had to write down who I took to dinner. And there was a time through the IRS, I had to come back and pay for my own income for that. Another question I have is, for instance, when an employee, well, it's not our employee, but AEDC employee, do they show income off the cars they drive? Do we give them like a 1099 or anything? Because that would be an income for them driving from their house to work.
I do not know. I have not ordered it. I can look into that and come back with an answer.
I would appreciate that, because to me,
You probably need to be more specific on that. Sorry, you may need to be more specific. I don't think it's real clear in
what I'm
driving.
trying to get to is, for instance, I drove back and forth to my office
Yes.
every day. I had a company truck, company gas, everything. I had to log down, here's how much it was from my house to work every day, and home.
Yes.
And I had to report that as income,
Okay.
because that is actually, because it's personal use. I just wonder if we do that with the employees of the AEDC, whether they have that as a personal income.
I will have to go, I'd have to go look at each one of them and see if they have car allowance or if they're claiming mileage using a vehicle or if they're using a city vehicle.
Because I would think there's gotta be some personal miles on that stuff.
Yeah,
Councilor
some of
Sherwood,
those,
Councilor, I think if we could get with you afterwards, Mr. Gerber, we can kind of iron that out with you and get specifics from you about what you'd like for us to look at. That'd be okay. Can we get with you afterwards and kind of go through some specifics on that? That'd be all right?
Yeah.
Council, you have any further questions for Mr. Gerber before we try to direct?
So so with the city, is there a document or documentation that goes through what information is expected on receipts that are charged?
yes, so we have a procurement card policy that covers it, that tells you what you can and cannot do, what's required, how do you process the transactions and so forth.
Okay. And so really what we're looking at is we need to replicate that in some fashion, because there's nothing that gives that type of detail in the AEDC policy manual.
Correct.
Okay.
And that would be your decision as to how strict you want to go. But it could be a benchmark for you to work from.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Simpson, you have any other concerns on this one?
No.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Gerber before we direct? Okay.
Let me just clarify something. In the report that you did in the audit, so everything that you haven't read was just, I mean, there was something unusual about it and you made it just how it was resolved in the right-hand column. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Anything further, sir?
No, that's it.
Okay. Mr. Gerber, I think in trying to be productive, we really, and I'll say it out loud, like, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care about the optics. I care about the people. I care about the community. I understand that we want to move forward, and I have a desire to move forward. And we have a board that we need to rebuild. We are trying to walk through the verification process so that we can close the book and move forward. I don't believe that we're there yet, sir, with you. I think that if I could have a couple more weeks to continue through the 24s, myself personally, then I would like to be able to stand here before my public and say, look, I verified it, and I asked these questions. And if you ask me, Mr. Fisher, I want to be able to give you a legitimate answer of, well, that was this, and it sure looked bad, but I called down there, and it was a $28,000 invoice, should have been included. And that is the level of scrutiny that we're under, to that degree. I think if we give ourselves a little bit more time, then we could allow Mr. Hyde to complete whatever he's overseeing as well. So these documents have been sent to Mr. Hyde, and he's double checking us. And so it's been very helpful in some of his reach to the state level and what current law is and is not. So that is being done. I think we need a little bit more time with it. And then, Mr. Gerber, what I would like to direct is you to visit with us through Mr. Path. That way we keep him included. If we have any other items that pop up, then we will go back to Mr. Path, verify those. And then I would like to say to the community, hopefully one final time we'll be able to present and close. And we're hoping no findings. I want to be able to agree with you that there's no findings. What we're trying not to do is to say there's no policies, and that we don't know if we have findings or not. The manual review of this would get us to that point. And then once again, to drive home the point, I believe the amendment of these articles and these new guardrails will greatly help the new EDC board to function, as well as protect our employees as they know what their level of expectations are for them as they work and promote Amarillo across the nation. Anything further, gentlemen? Mr. Gerber, thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right. Council, you have anything that you'd like to put on for a future agenda item?
Mayor, I would like to, I know we talked about the monument sign.
Yes.
Previous, and I know we've had a lot going on, especially EDC and that kind of thing. I'd like to see that maybe come back in December if possible, so we can discuss it and maybe take action.
So, Mr. Path, would it be appropriate for you to put that back on as a discussion? And could we direct staff to put out maybe the pros and cons of doing it in-house as formal procurement would have to go through staff, the design process, the time, and the cost versus what was presented through the EDC. And I only want to say that, Councilman Tips, because I'm not trying to direct it to staff. What I think is we could have a conversation that puts us back to somewhat of a debate of should we be doing this with EDC dollars or with staff dollars. I think it would be better to hear from staff and have another discussion of the pros and cons of each. Do you have direction on that, Councilman Tibbs?
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think that we had George Hyde on the line last time, and I think that I think everybody on the council that had questions were able to ask them the questions. I think, unless we do it for the public, to say, it's just to show that everything was looked at, would be the reason to do that, because I think everybody up here got their questions answered with George Hyde. the legal side, the procurement, going both ways, and is it possible? All those kinds of things. I think it's already been done. I just don't want to waste staff's time, unless, city manager says that, he feels like it would be good. I just don't want to waste time, unless there's those of us up here that have questions and would like it. I'm not trying to push it. I just don't want to waste any time.
What I might recommend, unless other councilors have thoughts on this, I might get with both the mayor's family and Councilor Tips and offline, and we can talk about next steps and how to present this, whether it's staff or so forth, and we can do that offline.
I'll be happy to put it on in a form, whatever is the most beneficial form, once we have the discussion. Be happy to put it on for the December meeting. So, gateway monuments coming in row. Anything further from council? Okay, we're going to move on to consent. I'd like to do the consent agenda, then we'll take a recess. We'll come back in here and jump into our non-consent. Does anything need to come off on the consent agenda, Councilman? Okay, would request a motion on the consent agenda, then, please.
Move to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We're going to take a 15-minute recess. We'll come back and jump into our non-consent for today.
We can